So what you'd have is you'd have 3 rings. Your A ring, that's your actual stunt people, your named characters, that sort of thing. They're doing proper fighting. In the next ring, you have people doing stuff like this, because most of them are out of focus. It's just some movement in the background. And in the third ring, dummies, CGI, whatever, it doesn't matter. You don't even have to have a third ring, but if you've got one, that's just vague movement off in the distance. The audience is watching the people who are in focus, your trained actors, your trained fighters, your stunt people. They're doing the impressive backflippy ninja skills.
I'm Ryan and I made a film called Every Legend Ends. Today I'm joined by one of the key people who brought it to life, Jack Butler, the film's fight choreographer, who's here to share some insight into the art of fight choreography and how these sequences come together. So how does it differ putting together a fight, like a hand-to-hand fight versus one with swords?
It's an interesting question. The actual mechanics are almost identical because it's all about the movement, it's all about the flow and the footwork.
But how's your footwork? If I step here...
There's a lot more to be aware of with swords because you've got 2 idiots trying to hit each other with sticks, pointy sticks made of metal.
Yeah. So is it easier, safer to do a hand-to-hand fight, do you think?
Actually, I would say it's safer to do a sword fight because in people's heads they're holding a sword.
Right.
They know they're holding a sword, they're aware of it at all times.
Okay, yeah.
Whereas with a fist fight, it's very easy to get carried away and accidentally punch someone, especially if you're not a fighter. You don't think about how long your arms are all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas with a sword, you're always, especially because even trained swordsmen don't carry swords 24/7. No. So when you've got one in your hand, you're always aware that you're holding a sword.
Feels different, yeah. So in terms of actually putting them together, how different is the process?
Not very different at all.
No.
You're still planning movement, you're planning attacks, you're planning defences.
Yeah.
Obviously the actual mechanics are very different. But the actual idea that you're trying to sell, risk, danger, is exactly the same. Yeah. You're just using different mechanics to do it. So sword, gun, fist. A fight is still a fight.
Do you think different weapons have contribute differently to telling a story?
Yes, absolutely. And that's something again I discuss with directors is exactly which weapons you use where, because you can tell a different story with different weapons. Like if I kill you with a sword. It's honourable, it's clean, as you were killed with a sword.
Yeah.
If I stab you with a kitchen knife, it's a very different method of killing. I'm still stabbing you.
Yeah.
But a kitchen knife, it's close in, it's personal, there's probably rage involved.
Yeah. Is there a kind of fight between, guns and swords and, hand-to-hand that's more difficult to make cinematic?
I guess it depends very much what you're looking for. Right. I think it's much easier to make a sword fight dramatic. Like if you want a crescendo of a tale, 2 swordsmen dueling at dawn, it's very, there's a passion to it, there's a romance. Yeah. Whereas 2 guys hunting each other with shotguns is dark. Yeah. That's going to be a very messy, grim tale. Yeah. So I suppose it's weapons for situations. So if there's a story you want to tell, you can pick a weapon to tell that story. Yeah. But it's much harder to tell the sort of the passionate, noble fight of 2 guys with saucepans. Yeah.
So presumably different weapons determine how you work with different camera angles?
Weapon lines are very important. For example, if I'm going to strike you with a sword and we're straight on and the camera is just behind me, then my strike has to, from the camera's angle, look like it hits you. If the camera is too far over here, you'll be able to see there's 2 feet between us and my sword can't reach. Yeah. If the camera's too far over to this side, it'll look like my strike is further over. So if I want to hit you, I'd actually have to swing off to here almost for it to look to the camera like the sword hits you.
It's like the Lord of the Rings where they have that forced perspective like that. I wasn't aware that the angle was so important in terms of selling the stunt.
There's a lot goes into it. And it's weird, it's only something I've started noticing in the last few years as cameras are getting better and better because it's picking up more and more and you're seeing more. And certainly with costume design, we can't cheat as much as we used to. Because now if you put someone in a modern fabric, you can see it on camera straight away. Yeah. And again, but we're back to immersion, you lose that immersion because the costume's made of the wrong fabric.
So in terms of sword fighting, how do you keep it from looking repetitive?
Well, what we've got those 2 doing, JD and I can't remember, was he Polish, was he?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Yeah. What they're doing here is actually a sword exercise called shield banging. Okay. You do it to build up the strength in your arms and get used to blocking a sword. But It's quite common to see this in the background on film sets because it's safe.
Yeah.
I'm not attacking him, I'm attacking his shield.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of what sword fighting would have been.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to hit you, but your shield's in the way.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, this stuff is always going to look repetitive because it is repetitive, and it's supposed to be. This is background fighting, and it's not backflips and ninja skills. It's what the camera pans past while you're going to find the interesting fight.
But I guess in a longer clip, or a wider shot, like in, like a big budget production, you'd have like wider shots that go on quite long. Would they use something like this to fill out the background then?
Yeah, so what you'd have is 3 rings. Your A ring, that's your actual stunt people, your named characters, that sort of thing. They're doing proper fighting. In the next ring, you have people doing stuff like this, because most of them are out of focus. It's just some movement in the background. And in the third ring, dummies, CGI, whatever, it doesn't matter. You don't even have to have a third ring, but if you've got one, that's just vague movement off in the distance. The audience is watching the people who are in focus, your trained actors, your trained fighters, your stunt people. They're doing the impressive backflippy ninja skills. These guys behind them, even though you do see them for longer, it's just some movement in the background.
So the weapon, the sword in this film is a fantasy sword, but it's not that fantastical in a way. It doesn't have special powers apart from just trapping the soul of the monster inside it. Okay. But from your perspective, how do fantasy weapons, how is it choreographing for them versus just regular things? It
can be interesting, it can be nightmarish. A lot of the people who design fantasy weapons don't use weapons.
Right.
So when they want you to put a fight together with these things, and they're just unusable because there are spikes in weird places, and half the swords you see in anime you couldn't physically swing because they'd stab you first.
Right. Yeah.
So there always has to be this sort of line between, okay, yeah, look, it's fantasy and it catches fire when you say the magic word or whatever. Cool, we can work with that. No, if I try and swing that, the spikes on the hilt will go through my wrist.
What's the hardest sort of fight to choreograph for?
It's really challenging if you've got 2 different kinds of weapons. You've got someone with a spear and someone with knives. You've got to make that fight believable. In reality, it would be quite a short fight and someone's getting stabbed. But to make it longer, you've got to take into account the extra leverage. You've got to take into account the distances involved. So a knife fight is up close and personal. A spearman, well, the whole point of a spear is that everything happens as far away from you as possible. So going between the 2 is really challenging. Not just for the distances, but also to make it, like if I take a whole length of an 8-foot spear and I swing it at you, you can't stop it with a knife. There's not enough leverage. So I've got to make sure that the whole fight is doable and believable. A lot of what happens is there'll be an excuse for the spear to be broken. Sometimes it's a single strike with a sword, which is baffling to me, because if you could strike through that thick a piece of wood in a single strike, that's it, no one can fight you. You'd kill everyone instantly.